Hello everyone and welcome to Work to Game. My name is Brian and in this video we're diving into tanking in the world of Final Fantasy XIV, with the focus being on how to manage big pulls. More often than not, when getting matched with a group of players, tanks are asked or somewhat expected to try and pull as much as the zone as possible, and this can be a little bit overwhelming as well as maybe make for less than an ideal experience if you feel unprepared or under-geared. So it's the goal of this guide to help you learn how to manage big pulls no matter what tank you're playing on, and how to manage your cooldowns and take pressure off your healers and overall have a better experience on your tank than ever before. So let's go ahead and get started. So now let's go ahead and dive into this guide. First and foremost, the best way to start is with a simple talk about party etiquette. If you're new or a new tank, let people know that you're new when you zone in with them, and if they're asking for big pulls, let them know like, hey, you're going to try your best, and ask for any feedback on how you manage those pulls. More often than not, you might find that you have a new healer and maybe they're not comfortable yet or geared enough yet to be able to manage the big pull themselves, and so they might be a little timid. If you're able to go and kick off the conversation, it can go a long way. Now, if you're not able or comfortable with like kind of asking, should I pull big or do you guys want to kind of stick with small groups, you can always run a simple test, and this is the test that I run whenever I get matched with a group of players I've never played with before, and that's I pull small and then I pull big and I test to see how we did between the two runs. Did the first pull go really easily? And if it didn't, then I'm going to cancel the big pull. But if the first pull actually went really smoothly and it was a very nice like, hey, how's our group doing? Then I pull big and see how we perform. If everybody's life is low, if I'm struggling to keep up, if people are dying, then maybe that's not a good time to be able to pull big for the rest of the dungeon. However, if it goes smoothly, you'll be good to go. More often than not, what happens with the first small pull is if people didn't speak up beforehand, they'll let you know at that point, hey, can you go ahead and pull bigger? I think we're more confident or we're more comfortable with you taking on bigger risks. Okay, so beyond party etiquette, more often than not, a big pull can be chaotic. Right now, you're looking at just me on the screen with a bunch of enemies. However, you add in some healers, you add in some DPS, you add in a lot of their abilities, it can be very easy to lose the AoEs that are going off on the ground, and you could find yourself easily being caught in one of those AoEs. For this, go into your system and character configuration, and then go into your control settings, and go over to character, and by here you're going to see battle effect settings. In this case, I'm going to show my own, but I have set my party and others to show none. This makes it as a tank much easier to see what is going on. So if a white mage is casting holy, or there's some big beautiful things that are happening, while they're fun to look at, as a tank you could find yourself accidentally standing in a big AoE and putting more pressure on your healer, and thus making it harder for your group to stay alive, because if you go down, chances are they're going to go with you. Alright, so now let's talk about skills. We're still in this epic pull that we were in before, but I want to highlight some skills that you want to have access to. Reprisal is a cross-class, cross-roll skill for all of your tanks. Now, it's got a 60-second recast, and this is going to come into play as you start to stage multiple big pulls. And this really works for really any dungeon, but you know that every 60 seconds you can use Reprisal. If I just do this, it's an AoE ability that is going to put Reprisal on everybody near me. This is a 10-second damage reduction skill that now is reducing the amount of incoming damage that I'm taking, and thus making it easier for me to live longer. It's a fantastic skill to use. The other one I want to point you to is Arm's Length. This is going to add a slow ability to anybody who hits you, and it's a pretty powerful slow ability. I hate when I get slowed. It's annoying as a tank, but it's very satisfying when I can do it to others. So being able to put that on your enemies while you're playing is really, really well done. Now, you can see here, it's got a 2-minute recast. So you'll start to see that you got 60 seconds and 2 minutes, and those two abilities go really well together, because not only are you reducing damage, but you're also overall reducing more damage because you're slowing down the enemies themselves. This is where you also want to pay attention to any of your other abilities. Rampart is another good one. It's going to reduce damage taken by 20%, which is again fantastic, but it's also a 90 seconds. So now we've got 60, 90, and 120 seconds for some of these cooldowns. And if it's looking like things aren't going your way, you always have your tank massive ability. In this case, for the Paladin Hallowed Ground, it's going to make me invincible for 10 seconds, and thus I can sit here and put some relief on the healer's perspective, so they can sit back and cure the rest of the group or me as well. Now, if I'm going to use like Hallowed Ground or any of my other abilities, any of my tank saving throws, I can also pair this with healing myself. Don't be afraid to heal yourself. Every tank has some ability to recover life, so just kind of learn what that actually means, so that way you'll do that, and that way you can help heal yourself back up while you're invincible. And then other than that, I would say just make sure you're focusing in on doing your AoE rotation, because that's going to put out the most damage. In this case, for Paladin, I can drop Soul Scorn, and then I can do various of my AoE rotation as a level 80. As you level up, you're going to have different rotations altogether. But you can see here, I have easily handled the enemies in the Binding Coil Bahamut. So anyway, that's hopefully a good explanation of your abilities and an example of where, to use them and how to manage your cooldowns between pools. It is important to note that as much as possible, because you can see the enemies kind of surrounded me there for a little bit, try to face them away from the rest of your party. If you're moving around a lot, if you're kind of going to and fro, I guess is a better way to say it, you could end up accidentally putting your DPS into an AoE or causing unnecessary damage or hurting them in their rotation, and how that they can try to help best burn down the enemies as quickly as possible. I have one final tip, but before we dive into that, Brian, why don't you tell them about today's sponsor?
Hey guys, I know I'm not Brian, but Brian is good at everything on this channel, better than me in every way, except making Gil and correctly reading tooltips. So for this ad spot, I'm going to be doing just the reading to make sure you guys don't miss out on this fantastic opportunity. Brian, tell us a little bit about these everyday E25 earbuds.
You can barely even see them here with my beanie on. These have incredible sound, incredible bass, the easy Bluetooth pairing, and over 6 hours of battery life, not to mention the noise isolation technology, which for me, I've been looking for a wireless earbud for a while, and when I was able to go hands-on with the Raycons, these were just the right ones for me. Namely because they don't actually fall out of my ears. I've been longing for a wireless earbud that stays put no matter what I'm doing, walking, running, working out, or mowing the yard. And where this all comes together in almost a perfect way is when I mow the yard. It takes me a long time. So the battery life, the noise isolation, they come together, so I'm able to catch up on a ton of podcasts, which make mowing the yard, especially in the Texas heat, all the much more bearable. But before we jump back into the video, I do want to say that we really put these things through the test and accidentally through the washing machine, which they came out working great. This shows me how durable the everyday E25s really are. And if you want to snag a pair for yourself, go to buyraycon.com/worktogame to save 15% off your everyday E25s, and let me know if you do. But anyway, back to you, Brian, for some more tips.
He actually read the link just fine.
Well, thank you, Brian. And finally, the last tip is something that you should all kind of take into heart, is that you need to know your limits and be okay with where you're at. If the party wipes on a big pool, shift it back down and start doing small pools again, and don't blame anyone in the group. Look at yourself and apologize for maybe missing a cooldown or whatever you really want to say, even if it isn't true. I don't really encourage lying as a life tip, but as a leader of the party, take the heat, and it really opens up everybody for a better experience. And at the end of the day, I think that's what we're all looking for here. Now, if you guys have any questions, comments, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you and see what you're thinking and what you're enjoying about this game. If there's anything I can help clarify regarding the tanks within Final Fantasy XIV or the other jobs, just ask. I'm here to help, and hopefully you guys are having as much fun with the game as I am. For Work to Game, my name is Brian. Thanks again for watching this video. Thanks again to Raycon for sponsoring this video. I hope you guys all have an amazing day, and I hope to see you in my next video. But until then, take care.